Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
Have you ever looked around and thought, everyone seems connected but me? Like you're surrounded by people, but somehow still feel invisible? You're not alone. And here's the truth no one tells you: you don't need to fit in to belong. You were wired for connection, not perfection. I remember meeting a woman at one of my workshops. Let's call her Anne. She was in her early 50s, recently divorced, her children grown and living miles away. She said something I'll never forget: "I have 600 friends on Facebook and not one person I can call when I'm scared." That sentence broke my heart, because it's the quiet story of millions. We scroll, we double tap, we smile politely at work, but deep down we crave something real. A hand to hold when life trembles. A voice that says, "Me too. You're not crazy. You're not too much. You're not alone." Anne told me she started going to a small community art class. The first few weeks, she barely spoke, just painted quietly in the corner. But one day another woman sat beside her and said, "That color you're using, it's so full of hope." That single sentence cracked something open. And over time, that group became her safe space. Not because they were perfect people, but because they showed up messy, real, and human. Fitting in is something many of us chase for decades, thinking that if we just look right, speak right, or act a certain way, we'll finally be accepted. But belonging doesn't work like that. Belonging isn't about blending in or shrinking yourself to fit someone else's mold. It's about showing up as your messy, imperfect, human self, and still being seen, heard, and valued. Think about it. How many times have you smiled politely or nodded along just to avoid standing out? How many times have you hidden your tears, your fears, or your quirks because you worried they might make someone uncomfortable? That exhaustion you feel, that constant inner question of, am I enough? It comes from trying to fit in rather than daring to belong. Psychologists tell us that when we are truly seen for who we are, without filters or masks, something extraordinary happens in the brain. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, is released, stress decreases, and we feel safe. This isn't just theory, it's biology. Our hearts, our minds, even our bodies know when we are accepted as we are. That's why belonging matters so much. So when you find a space where you can speak your truth, where your story is met with empathy and your presence is celebrated, you're not just participating in a group, you're creating a home for your soul. And the amazing part is, by daring to be seen, you give others permission to do the same. The ripple effect of one person being authentically themselves can transform an entire circle, a community, even a culture. Belonging is the quiet courage to say, "This is me." Take it or leave it, and finding out that the right people take it. And then some. It's not about changing yourself to fit the world. It's about finding the spaces where your wild, messy, authentic self is not just accepted but celebrated. And that, my friends, is where thriving begins. We often think that to connect with others, we need to be strong, composed, and have it all together. But the truth is, real connection is born in the moments we dare to be vulnerable. The moments when we show up with our hearts on the line, even when we're afraid. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the birthplace of courage, intimacy, and belonging. Think about the people you remember most in your life, the ones you truly felt close to. Chances are, they weren't the ones who always had the answers or kept everything polished. They were the ones who let you see their struggles, their doubts, their messiness. And somehow, in sharing their humanity, they made you feel safe enough to share yours. That's the power of vulnerability. It's the bridge that transforms acquaintances into real community. Psychological research supports this. When we allow ourselves to be seen, our brains release oxytocin and other bonding chemicals, creating a sense of trust and safety. Mutual vulnerability, when one person shares authentically and the other receives it with empathy, activates a loop of trust that is the foundation of lasting relationships. It's in these small, courageous moments of honesty, admitting we're scared, asking for help, sharing a story of failure, that community is truly built. I think about Anne, the woman I met in that workshop. At first, she barely spoke, hiding in the corner, painting quietly, too afraid to let anyone see the layers of her pain. But one day, she shared a memory of her childhood with the group, something deeply personal. and the response she received was nothing short of life-changing. The other women didn't judge her, they didn't rush in with advice. They simply listened and acknowledged her story. That simple act of acceptance cracked open a door for Anne, not just to be part of the group, but to finally feel safe being fully herself. Connection grows when we risk showing up imperfectly. Every time you admit, "I don't have it all figured out," or "I'm hurting too," you're not burdening people. You're inviting them into a shared human experience. Vulnerability is the invisible glue that holds hearts together. Without it, we may mingle, socialize, and even collaborate, but we never truly connect. And without real connection, we cannot thrive. Connection isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. We live in a culture that glorifies independence, that tells us we should be self-sufficient, that needing others is somehow a weakness. But the reality is that human beings were wired to thrive together, not alone. Loneliness doesn't just hurt emotionally, it impacts our physical health too. It raises stress hormones, weakens the immune system, and even shortens lifespan. Isolation isn't just painful, it's dangerous. I see this all the time with women in midlife. You've spent decades giving, caring, managing, and creating stability for others. And sometimes you look around and feel a quiet emptiness, wondering if anyone really sees you, if anyone really gets you. That emptiness can be frightening. It can whisper lies like, "I'm too much, I'm too late, no one really wants me." But here's the truth. That emptiness is your body and your soul signaling a deep need for connection. Connection heals. Being truly known, being fully seen and accepted, activates our nervous system in ways that reduce fear, increase joy, and foster resilience. It's not just about having people around you. It's about having people who hold space for your whole self, who witness your triumphs and your struggles without judgment. Connection gives meaning to life. It reminds us that we are not here by accident and that our presence matters. I think about Anne again, the woman who found her small art group. Before that, she thought she was too broken to be part of a community. She believed she had nothing valuable to offer. But the simple act of being seen by just a few people, sharing her story, her laughter, her tears, shifted everything. Her heart opened in ways that no social media, like, or polite nod could ever replicate. That sense of belonging sparked her confidence, her joy, and her willingness to show up in the world more fully. The lesson is clear: thriving isn't about doing everything perfectly or living without struggle. Thriving is about leaning into connection, letting others in, and allowing yourself to be part of something bigger than your own story. When we embrace community, we no longer have to carry our burdens alone. We discover that our lives are richer, our resilience stronger, and our hearts fuller when we dare to connect. Isolation diminishes us, connection nourishes us, and the sooner we embrace that truth, the sooner we step into a life of purpose, belonging, and joy. Right here, right now. So here's my invitation today. Find one space where you can be fully yourself. It doesn't have to be big or fancy. It could be a book club, a faith group, an art class, or even a morning walk with someone who listens. Show up real, not polished. Ask questions. Share your story, even if your voice shakes. Because connection doesn't happen when life is perfect. It happens when we dare to show up imperfectly. And when we do that, we don't just survive midlife. We thrive in it. You belong here, right now. Exactly as you are. If this message spoke to your heart, subscribe to Motivational Humanity, your weekly space for courage, healing, and real connection. Because this is where belonging begins.